It is my great pleasure to say hello to you and good morning from New York. I know that it is not morning where you may be sitting, so good afternoon and good evening as well, as we have often a worldwide audience coming to these webinars, and also a worldwide audience and a group of students who are coming to Columbia. I just wanted to thank you so much for joining this webinar today. My name is Jessica Marinaccio, which a name that might be familiar to you. I'm sure the students on the webinar have received many messages from me over the course of the last number of years. I'm the Dean of Admission and Financial Aid, but you and your families may know of one very important message that you received, whether it be in December or in March of this year, which admitted you to Columbia College or Columbia Engineering. I said it then, I will say it over and over again every single time I see you. Congratulations on that admission. Congratulations on all that you have achieved in your life to have earned that. Believe me, I know what it took to be admitted to Columbia this year. We in admissions really feel you are amazing and an incredible fit for us. There is a point, though, that we in admissions need to stop welcoming you to the class of 2028, and where you actually start embracing being a member of the class of 2028. And so I am opening up this webinar series and the countdown to Columbia that we're going to be working with you on over the summer as a transition, really, to you starting to embrace and join this new phase of your journey to really becoming an official Columbian. As I mentioned, admission's been a long time over the course of the year choosing the class that you have chosen to join. We are incredibly honored that you have decided to become a Lion, that you have decided to become a Columbian. Every single one of you will add so much to the environment, to the learning that will go on in the classroom and within the residence halls, will give to each other, support one another, build that community that is the strength of Columbia. And you're just a remarkable group of individuals. And I know that you will really embrace getting to know each other over the course of these initial months, over the course of orientation, and over the course of the number of years that you're going to be spending with us. This class of 2028, as I mentioned, is just an incredible class. You're really coming from all over the country. We have students from 50 states, from Washington, D.C., from Puerto Rico, from Guam. We have students from over 90 countries outside of the United States, really all over the world. So as you're learning about the details of your transition to the Columbia's campus starting in August, I want you to start to imagine meeting all of these individuals. Imagine the languages that you will hear being spoken on College Walk and in the residence halls that may or may not be your own. The celebrations, the cultural celebrations that you'll discover, the traditions that you will learn, the lenses that you will look through that you might never have even thought that you would be exposed to, the ideas, the perspectives, the different subject areas that people are very passionate about. What we do at Columbia and in admissions is try to create a class where people can learn as much from each other as from the faculty member who is guiding that classroom. And I can promise you that the class of 2028 is going to set new standards in that regard, in terms of the support that they will lend to one another, the ideas that they will share with each other, the friends that will be made. And I will sit back, I think, in awe and inspiration watching you do that. As I've said, I've really come to know you through your applications, and I will have incredible joy in watching you on this journey over the next 4 years. As you look forward to these incredible, wonderful experiences that you'll be embracing, I know that family members on this webinar, students who are on this webinar are approaching it, yes, with that excitement, but I'm sure with questions, with a little bit of nervousness, with a little bit of trepidation, ideas and questions that may be generating. And really the purpose of the conversations that we're going to be having here over the next 7 weeks is really a conversation with staff from the offices who will support you, who support the undergraduate community, and will introduce you to a whole array of services, of programs designed to ensure that you can make the most of your experience here, your curricular experience, your co-curricular experience, your extracurricular involvement that you have at Columbia, all that Columbia is. Columbia, we have a number of students, a medium-sized group of students who are coming in to join the class for the college and the engineering school. But there is, and we are in New York City, and I think that sometimes there is a question about that transition, but Columbia is committed and has an incredible group of people to help you with that, to support you in your 4 years, to make sure that the promise that we saw in your application in admission, the promise to fulfill your dreams and hopes at Columbia, to really thrive and grow as a person, an individual, a scholar, that can really be reached. And we are here to very much support you on that way. Through the course of the next couple of months, you'll be getting some newsletters, so please pay attention to those coming in. We'll offer other webinars like this one, and we'll cover such really important topics. And I really encourage you to try to attend as many as you can, but covering academics, advising, Columbia Health, campus involvement, and the question that's often asked most often, the move-in process. And you'll also have a chance to meet each other and celebrate alongside your families. We offer local summer send-off events. Some of those are in person, some of those are virtual, but they're really all over the world, and they're hosted by our alumni community to talk about their experience and to welcome you to the greater Columbia community that is represented by our thousands and thousands of alums who are also there to help guide you and support you on your journey and beyond as you come an official Columbian. For details about all of these events, as I mentioned previously, I encourage you to go to the Countdown to Columbia website. That will really be your hub of information for all of this, for the webinars, for the send-offs, and it also provides important checklists of items that you'll need to complete before you arrive. So as you are thinking about transitioning, please just go to the Countdown to Columbia site, and we really think that most of your questions will be answered through that. But you can always reach out to us and we will assist you in any way that we possibly can. With that, with pride and with pleasure and with some sadness that I'm not going to be talking to you quite as much, I am pleased to turn the mic over to Nestor Hernandez and his colleagues in undergraduate student life, who will introduce you, tell them a little bit more about themselves, and kick off this discussion about life at Columbia. Congratulations to you all. Welcome to the class of 2028. Welcome to being at Columbia. I look forward to seeing you at Convocation in August. Nestor.
Thank you, Dean Marinaccio. Welcome, everyone. I just want to start off by introducing myself. My name is Nestor Hernandez. I'm an assistant director within student engagement and undergraduate student life, and I will toss it off to Ross.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ross Mueller. I'm the Director of Communications supporting Columbia College and Columbia Engineering. My team is responsible for the flurry of emails that you will be receiving over the next few weeks. So happy to be here and happy to help answer questions as we go around throughout the day. I'll kick it over to Jenny Mack.
Hello, everybody. It's great to welcome you all. I am Jenny Mack, the Senior Associate Dean and the Dean of Students for Columbia Engineering. I'm so excited to welcome you and eventually meet you later in August.
I'll go next. My name is Veronica Bjorkman, and I'm the Director of Family Outreach and Support. I'm super excited to meet all of you and your families this fall, and I'll kick it off to Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Sarah Oldham, and I'm a Senior Advising Dean in the Center for Student Advising. We're an office that serves both Columbia College and engineering, and we help you select your courses and track your degree progress. Welcome.
And hi, I'm Emily Delman, Associate Director of Student Engagement and Undergraduate Student Life, supporting the student experience extracurricularly, clubs, organizations, community programs, orientation, things like that. And I think that's all of our staff, right? So I will kick it back to Nestor.
Yeah, so I first want to give y'all an intro to what undergraduate student life is. It'll be super brief, but like everyone else said, there'll be more information on Countdown to Columbia and on the website in general. But I just want to start off with what undergraduate student life is as a whole. So undergraduate student life's goal is to foster a welcoming and inclusive community by supporting undergraduate students in their development of skills and self-awareness and the other tools needed to properly engage with the Columbia community and beyond that. So like I said, I'm gonna start going through a little bit more of the offices. It'll be super brief, and you'll definitely get more information later on. So starting off with Residence Life. Residence Life will be your go-to place for building community within your new home with the support of professional and student staff. And I'll leave it there just because they do have their own webinar coming up on August 4th. Well, you'll definitely be able to get some more info. Leading into multicultural affairs. Multicultural affairs will serve as a resource to our undergraduate students in capitalizing on the education and growth found in the active exchange of celebration and celebration of multiple identities within the community. And some of the ways that they do that is by supporting personal identity development, mentorship, social justice education, and advocacy, just to name a few. And then last but not least, we have student engagement, which Emily kind of started off mentioning some of the things. Student engagement focuses on providing students with the opportunity of involvement on campus in areas such as new student orientation, which you'll meet some of our committee members today, class councils, community programming, and student organizations and clubs. So yeah, and then now I will throw it back over to Emily. Oh, and then the contact list. So these are just some of the areas where you can find us. On Instagram is where we'll be sharing a lot of updates beyond Countdown to Columbia. Another place where you'll be able to find some updates are our Instagram at Columbia USL, as well as our office, which is in Alfred Lerner Hall, Suite 510. That's our email. And if there's any questions that you have that are orientation or new student orientation program related, you can definitely always email orientation@columbia.edu and someone will be there to help you out. And now I will hand it over to Emily.
Hello. Once again, I'm Emily Delvin, and I am going to do some question and answer with 4 student panelists that we have here on the call today. So students, if you could please turn on your cameras so that everybody can see you. We're going to start out with introductions. So students, if you could please just begin with an introduction, include your name, your pronouns, your school year, major, and your involvement with new student orientation, as they're all part of the Committee for New Student Orientation. And then if you could share a little bit about what it felt like when you were preparing for Columbia during the summer before your first year, and how you began to find community on campus once you got here. Oh, and Layla, if you could go first, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Emily, for that introduction. And hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you all. My name is Layla. I am a rising junior at Columbia College, the class of 2026. I'm majoring in urban studies and minoring in ethnicity and race studies. And for the new student orientation program, I'm the communications coordinator. So I will be making all the media you'll be seeing on the Instagrams and the socials. But for a little bit about how I was feeling the summer before college, a little bit of everything, super nervous, super excited to start a completely new chapter of my life, but a lot of overthinking about the little things like, am I gonna make friends? Am I gonna transition to the Ivy League academia of Columbia? But as you'll see throughout this panel that we'll share, everything truly works out in the end. And on that note, I will pass it off to Adil.
Hi everyone, my name is Adil. I am also a rising junior at Columbia College. I'm an economics and political science major. And for NSOP, I am currently working on the Explore Immersion Experience, which you will find out more about in further emails. Prior to coming to Columbia, I was really, really nervous about the entire process, about moving far away from my family. But I think once I got here, it became a whole lot easier. It was very easy to meet new people and very easy to build a community when everyone is also very new. So definitely don't be nervous. And I'm excited to see you guys on campus. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Kaden.
Awesome. Thank you, Adil. So my name's Kaden, just like Adil said. I am currently a rising junior in class of 2026 at Columbia College. I'm majoring in economics, political science, and human rights with a specialization in environmental biology. And my role on the NSOP committee is the student leader coordinator. I kind of like oversee NSOP as a program overall. So we're really excited to welcome all the incoming students into this wonderful week-long program that we have every August. I remember the summer before my freshman year, I was traveling and I was spending time with friends and family, everyone that I knew that I was going to miss after, I came to New York. Having lived overseas for most of my life, moving to Columbia was my first time in New York City, let alone like my first time on the East Coast. And that was daunting for me. It caused like a lot of anxiety. I was really worried that I'd be out of the loop with community here. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to like find friends and community. But I was really quickly like shocked once I got on campus with how easy it is to like fall into community and how many opportunities everybody has to find their own community. And I guess like if I could give myself one piece of advice, like to soothe those anxieties going in, it's that it's gonna happen. You're gonna find those people. You're like, there's no need to be anxious about it because it exists and you will thrive here. So I'm sure we're gonna talk about this much more throughout the webinar, but for now, I'm gonna pass it over to Tazo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Columbia. My name is Tasso, as Kaden mentioned. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a rising sophomore at engineering school, which we call CIS. I'm majoring in applied math, and I'm double minoring in economics and history. And I'm going to be overseeing international students programming for NSOP. So shout out to all my international folks over there. So my summer before freshman year, I remember I was super nervous. I was moving into the country that I have never been to before. I was super nervous about the language barrier, about the cultural differences, and definitely concerned about the size of my dorm. There's a lot of things. And but I remember after I moved in on my first day in the evening, I was talking to some of the students on my floor, and the conversation was so smooth, so natural, that I just realized then and there that it's gonna be like it would be all right. And then NSOP came, and everybody is so welcome to talk to you and socialize with you. And as the semester continued, I just like continued talking to the people on my floor, in my classes, just very naturally asking them to grab dinner, lunch, and yeah, everyone is super welcome to talk to you, and there's really no need to be nervous.
Thank you all so much for sharing. It's so valuable to hear about your transition into the community, into the culture. It's hard. It can be hard to move to a new place and leave behind loved ones, and the social aspects of handling the transition to campus are definitely important to consider and think about. I want to bring us to another topic, also about transitioning to campus, which is about jobs and internships. Lots of students need or want to work or have an internship. So can a few of you speak about jobs or internships that you've held and what was something you wish you knew earlier in the process of trying to find and search for those? And Layla, we'll start with you.
Yes, thank you, Emily. And I'm sure you all, like the incoming students, this obviously might not be on the top of your mind. You're just thinking about transitioning to Columbia firstly. But, when you are on campus, this might be one of the things that you're wondering about. How can I be employed? How can I get paid? How can I, seek those work opportunities? And I guess for some of the internship experiences I've had thus far, freshman year, yeah, I didn't really have any internships, but sophomore fall semester, I had a news internship with GLAD. It's a LGBTQ advocacy media organization. They do a lot of great work. And then the following semester after that, Columbia has a grant program called the Work Exemption Program, where they fund unpaid or lower paid internships or research opportunities that you want to do. So because of that grant opportunity, I was able to work at a Harlem nonprofit and do like STEM education work. And now currently this summer, I am doing another news internship with my local outlet, the Bronx Times. And I'm only doing that because Columbia has an opportunity where you can get college credit for an unpaid internship. So on that theme, in terms of something that I wish I knew earlier while searching for these roles, is that there are so many opportunities within Columbia, even with the clubs that you can take advantage of. And I feel like for freshman year for internship searching, I was looking a lot outside of Columbia and applying for like the biggest name companies ever. Because I was thinking like I'm a Columbia student, of course, like I can make the first round, the interviewing round. But you are a rising freshman, you will be a freshman, and it's important to take advantage of the opportunities in front of your face at Columbia. So because of my involvement in clubs like Columbia Spectator, which is the school's like newspaper, or I'm in a pre-professional society called the Columbia University Black Pre-Professional Society, I was able to gain access to recruiters and editors there because of conferences they hold. So a lot of opportunities in clubs and Columbia offices that gives you a chance to explore a lot of different fields of work. But on that note, there's also a lot of work study opportunities as well that Adil can speak to. So I can pass it off to her.
Thank you, Layla. I'm going to talk a little bit about on-campus work opportunities. So work study, casual student work, being a research assistant, and then being a TA. For work study, there's a very specific work study portal where you need to submit all of your applications. There will be a ton of job options listed. Typically, you can list them, order them by how recently they've been posted. And when you're applying to a work study job, I recommend that you always, one, apply through the portal, and two, follow up with an email for all of your applications with your resume and cover letter attached. So when you go onto the work study portal, you'll log in with your regular Columbia Uni. And for every single job posting, there will always be the hiring person for it, whether that be the hiring manager, the direct professor that the research position or the job is listed for, whoever that may be. And always make sure and email them as well, because sometimes things get lost in the mix and there will be a lot of applications. So an easy way to stand out is to always just email. If you're somebody who really wants a work study position for the fall, I would suggest that you start looking in August, especially like mid-August. A lot of the libraries, the front desk positions, individual departments will start listing their jobs specifically that are more geared toward a freshman who doesn't really have course experience to be a research assistant. So I definitely start looking early. For casual work, it's slightly harder. Typically, the libraries or front desk positions around campus will have casual work opportunities. So I would just check out within your department or maybe at the libraries. For research positions or TA positions, my biggest advice to you is to form relationships with your teachers, to go to office hours, to become somebody who's actively involved in the course. And if you decide that maybe this is a position that you want to do research for or you want to be a TA for, then you can talk to that professor. And even if they don't have a position available, they will definitely know people within their department that can show you a similar position or a similar path. So that's my advice for on-campus work.
Great. Thank you both so much. It sounds like you've been doing amazing work in internships on and off campus. And I imagine that balancing all of that with rigorous academics and social life is something that the incoming students are wondering about how you tackle. Because, you know, Columbia has been described as stressful by students. The pressure of being on the Ivy League and being in the midst of this big hustling, bustling city. And though there can be stress, we of course encourage students to prioritize their self care and also caring for one another in community. So, can you all think back to a time in your first semester that you were initially feeling overwhelmed and tell us a little bit about how you got through that? And now that you've had some time in the Columbia community, can you talk about how you've built stress relief into your schedule? So, Caden, we'll start off with you on this one.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Emily, for the question. And I guess I'll start by saying that Columbia definitely can be stressful, but stress is not innately a bad thing. There is such thing as good stress. But looking back to my first semester, I will admit that I definitely spread myself quite thin. I was very like high achieving in high school, and I thought that I could just maintain that same level of engagement at the college level, without being familiar with what college level rigor looks like. So I maxed out my credit load, joined way too many extracurriculars, was holding like a part-time job, was also volunteering, and I very quickly realized that there was just so much like going on that I'd like didn't really have a good gauge of. Plus the added mental energy required for making friends and socializing at the start of like a new year, dare I say, new chapter of life. So I mean, needless to say, I began to burn out as soon as midterms started to pick up and deadlines became, you know, very urgent. What I realized that first semester, it's like simple, but it's a fundamental lesson that I think that everybody has to go through. But the things that you choose to do outside of your academics and even within your academics need to be enriching for you. Though I was doing like so much, many of those things were in a place where I could go and recharge and let loose and have fun. They only just gave me more stress and put more on my shoulders. And I found that like after reorienting myself around things that I was passionate about, my stress levels returned to an appropriate level. And I wasn't really as predisposed to burnout when expectations got a little bit higher for my academics or when I had like a concert for one of my organizations that I'm a part of, or when deadlines became more imminent. I wasn't burning out. Instead, I was enjoying the crunch time, which is what I'm more familiar with and which is way better than academic burnout. Um, and a way that I did this is like throughout high school, I looked back and I said like, oh, like I really enjoyed when I was a part of like music extracurriculars or part of performance extracurriculars. And looking back at that, that's when I decided I maybe should re-implement some of that into how I'm, you know, interacting with the Columbia community. So I joined an a cappella group. I became very involved with other music and performance organizations on campus. And that was fantastic. It was a major source of stress relief and overall made my like already busy schedule so much more enjoyable and so much more fulfilling. So I guess like my advice here is that accommodating your schedule for stress and ensuring that you're prioritizing your well-being is imperative, like especially in that first year, but even more so as you continue on throughout your career at Columbia. And also, just while I have the space to say it, while you're at Columbia, definitely leave campus. A lot of people, there's like this terminology here of like being trapped in the Columbia bubble during like midterms and final season, where this environment where everybody is like very stressed and is trying to perform like very highly on all of these like midterms, it can become stressful and taxing mentally in that way. So I guess like head down to Chelsea Piers, go to a museum, see a Broadway show, really try to capitalize on Columbia's location in New York City, and use that as a mechanism of stress relief and fostering well-being for yourself. And I guess with that, I'll pass it over to Tazo.
Thank you, Kaden. So I remember probably the most overwhelmed that I've been was in the first semester of my freshman year when I was taking university writing class, which is a core class for both Columbia College and Columbia Engineering. And because I'm not a native speaker and never have really been a good writer, I had just this complex that I was not writing well enough. And for a while, I was bubbling this stress in myself, and I was not talking to anyone about it, and so on. And after a while, I realized that that was emotionally draining me. So I talked to my professor, and he was super, super, super helpful. I talked to one of my neighbors that was living in Wallach, and it turns out that like all the friends that also was taking university writing was also like struggling with it in some ways. So I would definitely recommend that it's very important to voice the things that you're going through and you're struggling with, because there's a huge sense that they are going through it as well. Yeah, me and one of my friends bonded over like stressing and making jokes over the university writing assignments, and we literally pushed each other till the end. And there's definitely going to be a class at Columbia that won't be in your comfort zone, but that's totally okay. Just like there's a lot of resources on campus that will help you. Like we have a writing center, we have TAs, we have professors, you'll have friends. So definitely reach out. And generally, to reduce my everyday stress, I like to put everything in my calendar in my phone, and also in my calendar on my wall, because it just like helps it just helps. The visualization helps my brain to relax in some ways, and I cannot stress how important this is to like take time and do the things that you love. I personally like to ground myself by like do meditation, yoga. I play sport. So please definitely take time to do the things that you love and enjoy.
Great. Thank you both so much. It's so important to prioritize yourself, especially in the midst of, all of these other factors. We pride ourselves on the diversity of our community and our location in New York City. As you likely know, we attract students from literally all over the world, and we encourage connections across both similarities and differences for our students. Can a few of you reflect on lessons that you learned as you transitioned into Columbia and into New York City, given where you were coming from? And Tasso, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Thank you, Emily. So there's a huge diversity in New York and on our campus. And I like to see that it's like two sides of a coin. First of all, like the people are so diverse and they come from so many different backgrounds that you can like you might feel lost sometimes, but at the same time, because people are necessarily like they could be from they could have so diverse experiences that you can definitely find people that you feel at home with, and the people that you understand thoroughly. And coming to Columbia, I obviously had an anxiety that I would not be able to find my people. And then I came here, and I realized that there's a lot of like clubs on campus, like identity-based clubs. Then you can like join. I'm from a very small country, and I was not even expecting that people from my country would be here. And then I met some of the people, and I was very surprised. But there's so many ways that you can keep in touch with the people, culture, and traditions that you're part of. And it also turns out that you can easily be close friends with people that you don't necessarily share a same identity with. And I remember that one thing that I was very struggling with during my freshman year was I had this idea that I had to like change myself in some ways to fit in. And I realized over time that was not a right approach, because there is no one formula of being a Columbia student. Everyone is different in their own ways. And I would definitely encourage you to like embrace being unique and embrace your personality. And it just takes time to get to know yourself. Take time to appreciate who you are and how much you have already achieved. I mean, you're coming to Columbia. That's a huge deal, and congratulations once more. And this is the only beginning. Like, you are going to keep doing amazing things. And I'll send it to Adil.
Thank you. First, I just want to reiterate what Tasso said. Your differences are your strengths. There is a community at Columbia for everyone. You will see during activities week, during orientation week, we will have an activities day. We'll see all sorts of different communities at that day, all sorts of different clubs. And I promise you, you will find your people. You will find people who enjoy the same hobbies, who enjoy doing the same things in their free time, and you will find your people. I would also say, once you get to Columbia, don't be super stressed if the very first people that you meet don't turn out to be your people for all 4 years of college. It's really common that, you know, sometimes you meet people and then you get to know each other for a few more weeks and you're like, maybe this isn't perfect for me. The most important part is to just keep an open mind and to always just keep meeting new people during your freshman fall. It's a little bit uncomfortable, especially if, like me, you were an introvert in high school. But just I suggest getting comfortable with being a bit uncomfortable, because eventually it becomes so worth it when you find that perfect community and that perfect friend group for you. Yeah.
Great. Thank you both so much. We're almost coming to the end of our time here, but before we hear questions from the admitted students, I'm going to ask each of you to share a piece of advice, something you wish that you had known before you arrived to Columbia. And we'll start with Layla.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, we'll try to keep this short. There's so much we can say, but I guess a piece of advice, which is that I have for you guys is, well, something that I wish I didn't do the summer before freshman year was just worrying too much. Like, I wish I didn't spend so much time overthinking and getting in my head for the littlest things, because as I hope you have learned throughout this panel, it all truly works out in the end, like truthfully. I was scared because, like, I'm from the Bronx. I've never really been in these sort of elite spaces before. I've been in public schooling all of my life, first generation, low income, all of like that sort of things. And I was so scared for starting like this is an Ivy League. Like it's although there's like so many like things to be scared of, there's so many reasons to be excited as well, and I wasn't really paying attention to that. But when you come onto campus, you will just naturally transition, as you always do, as you always have been, like your past life. You will, like, that's just naturally what we do as humans. You will just naturally transition, join clubs. I've met my bestest friends in the clubs I've made. Rediscovered my passions through the clubs I've joined. I'm doing dance again because of Columbia. I've met my first Ethiopian friends because of Columbia, because I've never had an Ethiopian friend in the Bronx. Like, truthfully, there's so many reasons to be excited. And whenever you have those intrusive thoughts, just like telling you things that are just not true, like, just don't listen to it. Do not listen to it. But yeah, on that note, I will pass it off to Adil.
I completely agree with everything you just said, Layla. I would also want everyone to remember that academics aren't necessarily everything. When you're entering Columbia, you're probably entering from a space where you were one of the top students at your high school. Everyone who comes here is absolutely brilliant. We are all smart and dedicated and are willing to put in the work. And it's really important, especially that first semester of your freshman year, to remember to just slow down a little bit and to have a good college experience. Sometimes it will definitely stress you out when you start hitting midterms and finals for the very first time and you have all of these assignments and these papers rolling in, and there's this giant test that's worth like 40% of your grade, and you're stressed out and you're so, I get it. It takes over your brain for a moment, and it's really important to find a way to to take a step back, to find an outlet, whether that's working out, whether that's hanging out with friends, whether that's going out and exploring in the city. Find an outlet for you, and just remember to take a deep breath and realize that academics just aren't everything, and have a good time while you're here. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Kaden.
Yeah, thank you, Adil. I'm kind of going to pick up right where you left off. I think that when we're like in this like really high achieving academic environment, it can be really easy for people to isolate themselves academically when things get a little bit more stressful. And I guess my piece of advice is just try as much as you can to lean on your community for support when you need it. Talk to your TAs, talk to your professors, talk to friends that you have in the class, collaborate with people. I think sometimes people can get a little bit nervous about being graded like on a curve against other people who are similarly like very high achieving, very like intelligent individuals. And because of that, people are a little bit less inclined to collaborate on like P-sets and studying for exams because they, like there's kind of this like competitive environment. And I wish someone had told me going in that it doesn't need to be innately competitive. It can be a spot of, it can be a place for collaboration, a place for like academic enrichment between people. And also like that's where you're going to meet some of your closest friends. That's where you're going to learn the most. So yeah, just make sure to reach out to people, lean back on your community. And then with that, I'll pass it off to Tasso to wrap up.
Thank you, Kaden. So Ideal and Kaden both touched up on this, but I want to stress it once more that academics is not the only important thing at college. Having fun and spending time with friends are equally important for your mental health. And I remember in the first semester, I was spending all my days off, like Friday and the weekends in Butler, which is one of our main libraries on campus. And I would put excessively a lot of time into studying, and I would isolate myself. And at the end of the semester, I just realized that it was not worth it because I did not have too many fun memories of the first semester. And in the end, academics is super important, but balancing academics with social life, I would say, is more important. And one more piece of advice would be that your freshman year, you don't have to have your whole life or like the next 10 years figured out. Just take your time. Like you would look around and you'll see your peers and you'll think that, oh, like they have everything figured out and they are like 100% confident in their what they are going to do in the future. But the truth is like everybody is like still figuring out as they go on. My advice would be like, don't try to stress about the future, but try to enjoy the present. Thank you.
Awesome. And that wraps up our Q&A panel for our students. And we're going to toss it back over to Ross.
Hey, everybody, thank you guys. That was awesome. A lot of really interesting questions generated in the Q&A so far. I will ask some of my colleagues to pop back on camera so that we can tackle sort of a few of the larger questions. What I will say is that obviously there's something close to 500 people on the webinar today. We're not going to be able to answer everyone's individual questions exactly or directly. A few of the things I will say at the outset is most of the general questions, including some very detailed stuff, you're going to be able to find on the Countdown to Columbia website. The other piece I would say is that if you have any specific questions related to housing, the timelines for when and where all of the information and logistics are going to happen, the Columbia Housing website, housing.columbia.edu, is a really great source of information for all sorts of things related to first-year move-in, transfer and combined plan move-in, all of the different pieces and parts that are going to be moving around there will be a great place to start and check in on all of that stuff. The first thing I'd like to do is the first set of questions that I wanted to talk through is a couple people asked about shipping and when you can start shipping things into onto campus before your arrival. And I'll turn it over to Veronica to talk about that.
Thanks, Ross. Yes, it's a really good idea to ship some of those maybe bulkier items that you don't want to carry with you. And the great news about it is if you ship boxes between August 1st and 15th, those heavy boxes can be delivered to your room. Now, I will say sometimes you get here, there's a lot of packages coming in and out. If you find your box is not there in your room, you can simply go to the mail center and pick it up. And the format to send packages is listed on the housing website, but you're simply going to put your student's full name. You're going to put 70 Morningside Drive. You're going to put their university ID number, and their building code, which is also listed on the housing website. That's the building code is the building that they're living in. New York, 10027-7236. And again, like Ross said, there'll be all kinds of information coming out in newsletters on the Countdown for Columbia. And so the best piece of advice I can give you is to read everything. Thanks.
Yes, definitely. There is a huge amount of information that is going to get thrown at you over the next couple months. We try our best to sort of break it down into discrete chunks week by week, but it is a lot. So just don't try and absorb it all immediately and just sort of pick topics you want to dig into each week and try and go from there. The next question I wanted to toss to Sarah is just sort of a general overview on when students can start expecting to meet with their advisors. whether and when they should start thinking about registration and, planning their course structure and all of that. So I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Hi, everyone. So you will be receiving your advising dean assignment at the end of this month. You should expect to hear the last week of July. And then from there, your advising dean will contact you directly. So no need to reach out when you get the assignment. In the days that follow, you'll be hearing from them. They'll send you an email with a lot more information and a link to set up an appointment with them. So you will be meeting one-on-one with them at some point in August, and you'll get a lot more information on transfer credit, on registering for your first semester, and just academics in general while you're here. Depending on which student population you are, you'll be registering either in mid-August or in late August. So incoming first year Columbia College and Engineering students will register on the Friday of NSOP, so the Friday before classes begin. If you're a different population, transfer, combined plan, visiting student, you'll be registering in mid-August. But again, you'll get a lot more information from your advising dean on when to register, how to register, and which classes to select.
Right, awesome. The next one I wanted to just touch on is a bunch of people had questions about their residence hall assignments and all of that stuff. You should have received, all incoming students should have received their room assignments from Columbia Housing in an email on July 1. If you did not receive that email, I recommend that you reach out to Housing directly, housing@columbia.edu, and they will be able to help track down any of the any issues that you might be having there. Next, I want to kick it over to Nestor a little bit and just have you talk a bit about what students can expect during orientation. We're doing, throwing information at them for 2 months. What are they going to get once they actually get here on campus?
Yeah, for sure. So after move-in is when a lot of these events begin, starting with your first OL meeting that first night. That's when you'll start having conversations about your immersion experience, which you all should have filled out a survey about and you should be getting that information within the next couple of weeks. After that, the first 2 days will be immersion specific, and then after that will be a lot of the academics and required programming throughout the week. And at night in the evenings is when you'll do a lot of the, fun bonding experience programs, which are like going out into New York, on campus events, in the res halls, and just getting to know other students, having dinner with your OL groups. And it's definitely a fun time. I'm not sure if Caden, if there's anything else that you want to add to that, but that's pretty much a very general idea of NSOP so far.
Yeah, I think Nestor covered it really well. It's just overall, NSOP is a wonderful, like super high energy experience where all of our new students come and you really just get to interact with the 2,000 incoming students that we have at Columbia. So be excited, get hype.
All right, we had a really good off-the-wall question in that I want to circle around to the group because I think it'll be good. Is what is your favorite nature escape in New York City? Anybody want to go first? I'll start. Most people know the south end of Central Park, but the north end of Central Park, which you will be closest to, is a really, really interesting place to go and get lost. My best advice to people who don't know Central Park is pick a nice Saturday, pick a gate that you've never walked into before, put your phone away, and just get lost. That's my best advice. Anybody want to go next?
I would say Inwood Hills Park, which is at the very top of Manhattan, close to the Columbia Athletic Facilities. It's a beautiful park. You're walking through the woods. It feels like you're not in the city anymore at all, but the beauty of it is that you are.
There, I'll go. I really enjoy if you walk towards Riverside Drive, which is closer to the river. There's a really lovely a walkway path that you can walk south, or north for that matter. It's lined with trees. You can actually see parts of the river. But my favorite part about walking up and down that path is you always see dog walkers. So they're always cute dogs and cute babies. The Columbia campus area is a very vibrant area where not only do we have a lot of Columbia students, but we have children, school-age children that often walk around the park, walk all over the community. And it is so adorable to see them, enjoying the park, playing in the playground. So it's a really calming walk for me. So Riverside Drive, which is literally 2 blocks from the campus.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And Nestor, there were a couple people, I see you typing an answer, but I just wanted to toss it over for the group. What if you missed the NSOP survey deadline? What should students do on that end?
Yeah, so it's not the end of the world. I promise you will still get an immersion experience. It simply just won't be based on whatever answers you would have given in the survey. But I promise you, each immersion experience is super unique. It's super great. They all have the opportunity to explore New York. They all have the opportunity to like step outside of your comfort zone. Some of the general focuses of each immersion is arts and media, which is kind of just arts and simply the name of it, arts and media focus. Care, which is based on social justice, civil responsibility, that kind of thing. Co-op is the outdoor immersion program where they go camping overnight, and then explore New York City, simply similar to arts and media, just like the name. You explore New York City. But even if, like I said, even if you have not filled out that survey or were not able to fill out that survey, you will still be placed in an immersion program. And I promise you, it'll be the best time of your life.
Perfect. Another quick question that I saw come in is how soon should people start making travel arrangements? As soon as you'd like to, I think is the answer. Assuming you've gotten your room assignments and everything, the date of move-in will not change. So please start making your arrangements as soon as possible. And again, if you have specific detailed questions about the logistics for move-in weekend, absolutely go to the Columbia Housing website and look at the incoming student section, and you'll see a whole host of information about how to navigate around and what to expect. And then the other plug I would make is that the Columbia web environment is large, diverse, and confusing at times, even to people who've been around it for a very long time, as most of the students can attest to. The whole idea of the Countdown to Columbia website is that it is to create a microcosm for you to be able to enter into the online world of Columbia and start to be able to explore things and start bookmarking things where you need. So I would definitely recommend that be your first stop to start navigating for any other things that come up. So I think we're getting close to time. We've covered most of the big things. If we didn't get to your specific question, remember there are webinars happening multiple times a week throughout the rest of the summer. You'll be receiving weekly newsletters and reminders about all of your compliance requirements before you arrive on campus. And always, 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 please reach out to the orientation@Columbia email address if you have any specific questions. And unless anybody else on the panel has anything they'd like to add in, we will say thank you and enjoy the rest of your week. And we'll see you at these as we keep going along.